Hello everybody and welcome back to the FPL crypto channel. Game week 2 is over, finito. Wolves versus United tonight has just been, the game is just over, 1-1 it finished. 48 points scored for myself. Average, I don't think this is updated yet, but the average is 34 points. Probably going to rise for 38 points with all those United players in a lot of teams. So my game week rank maybe a little bit higher too, but I'm happy all in all. I've bet the average again for the second game week. A little bit of a captaincy fail. What I'll do in this video is I'll do a quick synopsis of how my team got on in game week 2. After that then I'm going to talk about my transfers. I've already made 3 transfers. It's not like me usually to make early transfers, but all these price rising and falling seems to have kind of made my decision for me. I had to go early to get who I wanted, so I've done it. I've pulled the trigger already. And after that then, after I talk about my transfers, I'm going to look at my watch list. So I'm going to add and remove players from my watch list. If you don't know what a watch list is, it's this little button that's below every single player, add to watch list on the official Fantasy Premier League site. And it allows you to keep tabs on certain players that you want to keep an eye on. Maybe you're looking to get them in, look at players at different price points, different ownerships, players that play for certain teams, so you can kind of see when their fixtures swing. Different reasons, so various reasons to have players on your watch list. I like to accumulate my one just to keep an eye on them and always kind of draw transfers from a watch list that I've kind of predetermined. So that's the way I like to play the game. Others play it differently. Then after we look at the add and removal of watch lists, I'm going to kind of set up my team for game week 3. I have a good idea of how I want to kind of line up my subs and who I want to captain. Actually, that's a lie. I don't even know who I want to captain. I've got 2 options and it's going to be hard to make the decision. It might go down to the wire, but I'll do another video to confirm my final squad if it ends up being that way. I'll try and keep this short and sweet. I know time is precious for a lot of people, so I'll try and keep this video down to a minimum, a little shorter than the last one, and I'll address as many key points as I can. First of all, 48 points scored. I'm happy enough. Let me know how you guys got on in game week 2. If you transferred in Timu Pukki, a certain Finnish guy, plays up front for Norwich. I think we've all heard of him at this point. 17 points for him, a hat-trick. 34 points if you captained him. Amazing move. A few people I've seen on Twitter that have done that. Got him in for Josh King, for instance, same price point, and captained them against Newcastle. Newcastle seem to be the whipping boys of the Premier League so far this season. As far as I can see anyway, they're fairly toothless at the back. Let's look at every single player. Pope, 3 points. Happy enough with that. I never expected too much out of him against Arsenal. Digne then, star performer in my team. He got that early assist for the Bernard goal, and then he topped it up with 2 bonus points and that clean sheet, the precious clean sheet. Only 2 teams kept a clean sheet this season. In game week 2, shall I say, and that was Sheffield United and Everton. So I was glad to get some share of those clean sheet points with Lucas Digne. Van Dijk and Robertson, the letdown that is the Liverpool double defensive play that a lot of people have gone double premium with Liverpool. I'll talk about my transfers just after this, but let's just say that I am double no more, and I've let go of one, either Van Dijk or Robertson, to release some funds. Montoya, 2 points. Again, he's my budget 4.5. He's at home to Southampton next. Lost the clean sheet points, but he's still got attacking threat in him, so I'm happy with Montoya. He got his 2 points, fair enough. Can't ask for too much more from that in a week where every team has conceded bar 2. Sterling then, he should have been my captain really, looking back. But it's hindsight's a great thing. It's easy to say that now, obviously. But Salah is who I went for, and he got his 3 points, but he should have probably scored. He had 2 good opportunities. Wouldn't say gilt edge, but there were good opportunities to get goals. Mane, his counterpart, was the one who impressed with his 13 points or so, goal and assist. He's back now, I'd say. Mane, Salah, Firmino, those formidable 3 are going to start up front for Liverpool in most games. Arsenal at home next for Salah. Sigurdsson, okay, nothing yet. I just got to be patient with this guy. He's for the long run. He has assist potential every time he plays. He's on penalties and set pieces. Just hasn't come off for him yet. Richarlison, Moise Kean, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin have been a little bit wasteful. He's been supplying, Sigurdsson's been supplying well, it just hasn't been finished off. So got to remain patient, at least for one more week there to play Villa away next week. Ryan Fraser, Wilson and King, the 3 lads up front. for Bournemouth. The Bournemouth triple up risk that I went for kind of paid off in game week 2. I mean, King took that, he converted that early penalty that Wilson won, so we got a goal and assist there. I expected more than I thought they were going to kick on against Villa and maybe come in with hauls. But Fraser had some opportunities to score, just let me down immensely. I'm kind of disappointed with him, and he's gone. He had to go as well because of that price drop and the fact that a lot of players were going up in price that I really, really wanted to grab onto. And he plays Man City at home next. So the Bournemouth triple up is no more. They kind of made up for the game week 1 disappointment a little bit with the returns, but not as much as I expected. Dendoncker then on the bench, didn't expect much for him. Didn't want to play him anyway. Lundstrom then, what a hero from game week 2. Wowee, 14 points. He got a goal, his clean sheet, and he took home the 3 bonus too. So an amazing option of 4 million for anybody who wants to get an enabler in their team. It looks like John Lundstrom's going to play in midfield for the majority of the season. Out of position, he's classified as a defender, as we all know, so he gets the clean sheet points and he gets those extra 2 points for a goal, which equates to that huge score he got for just 1 goal return last game. So definitely one. I'm happy to hold on to him. He's going to go up in price. He'll probably be 4.2 million by the time we do a game week 3 review, I reckon. So happy to have him. Greenwood then, not expecting much, 4.5. He only came on for a few minutes against Wolves. So that's pretty much it for me. 48 points for this week. Happy to move forward and consolidate. And as I said, I've made some bold moves with my transfers. When I say bold, I think they're actually quite safe when I talk about them. Actually, let's just do it now. Let me tell you who I got rid of, first of all. So Ryan Fraser was due to go down in price last night. He is now 7.4 million. I always wanted to get rid of 2 Bournemouth players. Fraser and Wilson were the ones that went to free up funds, and then Robertson then. So Robertson 7 million. I think he's going to go down in price also to 6.9 during the week because there seems to be a mass sell-off of the likes of Robertson, those premium defenders. So Robertson for 7 million, and then 7.5 I saved from plus 14.5 million, and then the 8 million from Wilson's sale. That's 22.5 million to spread, and I spread it quite not safe, but I went all in on City. I wanted to get 3 City assets in for this run. You can see what's going to happen now soon. They're going to score a bucket load of goals this season. They had an incredible amount of chances against Spurs, and obviously to put more away against West Ham. They're going to put a lot of teams to the sword this year, and I just need to knuckle in and get three solid starting players for City. It's not easy to say starters, but I think these 3 choices that I made are the most nailed. So Sterling obviously stays. Bournemouth, Brighton, Norwich, Watford for the next 4 games. There should be a plethora of goals there for City players. So what I've done is, if we just go into my transfers, you'll see that Robbo was removed, replaced by Laporte. That gave me 0.5 in the bank. Alongside a sale of Wilson, gave me enough to get De Bruyne in. So De Bruyne is up to 9.6 million. So there was the price swing, 2 directions. Fraser going down, De Bruyne going up. I needed to get De Bruyne in because he is in form. He's got 3 assists this season. Created 12 chances in the first 2 game weeks. That's the most out of any FPL player. He's back to his best. Look at these scores from previous seasons. 21 assists, 6 goals, 2016-17. 8 goals, 18. He's an assist king. He really is amazing when he gets going. And he's got 3 this season so far. So he's hit the form. He seems to have amended his... Well, he's got fitness on his side because he played 90 minutes and he wasn't dragged off by any means or wasn't considered to be taken off by Pep. So he's played his full 90 and he got full game time over 60 in the game week 1. So I think he's going to be nailed on to play most games and play the majority of minutes. And he's got fixtures on his side. So it's the trio, isn't it? Form, fixtures and fitness. It's all on De Bruyne's side. I got him in alongside Laporte because Laporte is the most nailed defender in my opinion. And look at that ownership, it's quite low. He's a differential defender. 6 point. Emerick Laporte is probably the best defender in the Premier League next to Virgil van Dijk. And he is owned by only 8.5% of teams at the moment. So I'm happy to jump in on him. He has his offensive capabilities too. 3 goals, 3 assists last season. So I'm not only expecting clean sheets from the next 4 games and beyond, possibly, but I think he might grab a goal. He nearly had an assist that was disallowed late on against Spurs because of that VAR, controversial VAR handball. But I'm kind of happy that he didn't get it because he's due one now. So hopefully he gets it when I have it in my team, that assist or goal return. Very happy to bring those 2 boys in. Now the tough one was the 6.5 million slot, because that's all I had left to spend. I went for Diogo Jota, which is risky in itself because he hadn't even played against United, which that game occurred just tonight. So he had that risk of getting injured or maybe something happened to him, maybe a suspension. I took the risk because of the price movements, and he is in my team because he's the only 6.5 million player I can trust to start every week and maybe get a couple of returns, and he's proven to. He's done it. He did it last season, albeit from a midfield position, but he's still got some points. So I'm happy to bring Jota in. Difficult game sandwiched between game week 3 and game week 6, and also he's got a Europa League to contend with. So I'm going against the grain here with this one. I don't recommend getting Jota in. I think a lot of players will actually sell him this week. I'm happy to have him in my team because he's a safe haven for points, I think, and he's less of a rotation risk. So that's how I justified it. There's not many other 6.5 millionaires either. I looked at the 6 million category, and there's not many 6 million players up front that impress me either. Mopai is now a rotation risk with Murray, and you've got the likes of Shea Adams, who's competing for a start with Danny Ings now, so he's not even nailed on. And then after that, you've got players that just haven't proven it yet, like your Wesley for Aston Villa. He hasn't really done anything yet, so I can't really trust him at the moment to bring someone like that in. 6.5, I settled with Jota, and I'm kind of happy I did it. Okay, I'll leave it at that for a moment. We'll have a look at how I'm going to set up for game week 3 after we look at the watch list. So, as I said, watch list, I started it off in game week 1, adding players that I thought were quite good in pre-season, and then I consolidated it in after game week 1 in my previous video. So I'll make this like a weekly feature where you can see who I'm going to add and remove. I'm going to just remove some players first of all. Obviously Laporte I own now, so I'm going to take off Laporte. There's no point having him on my. Oh, sorry, this is a transfer. Better not do that. It'll be a -8. I'm going to remove Laporte from my watch list because you don't need to watch players you own. De Bruyne too. And you'll notice that every single player that I transferred in were already on my watch list. There wasn't many knee jerks. I based it over 2.5 game weeks because Jota hadn't played before, but I like to do it that way. So Jota is, sorry, do that properly. Jota is off the watch list too. So that's the clean out for players that I've owned. You might see that I've already kind of added players. It's because I'm recording this video for the second time. The first time I recorded this video, the sound was terrible, so I've had to run through it quickly again and give you guys a synopsis. So there's new additions on this watch list, and I think the best way to do it is for me to just kind of run through the fixtures first and then point out the players that I've added in. Okay, so Aston Villa against Burnley was the first game of the game week. Aubameyang scored, Lacazette got a goal, and the main standout player was, in many eyes, was the 5.5 million Ceballos in midfield, who played in a more advanced kind of creative position. Maybe it's because Oatson's not around, but he's got such quick feet. He's really nifty. Reminds me of a kind of a Cesc Fabregas type player. Very creative, always a threat. Can thread a pass. Really nice. Fixtures aren't great for him, but at 5.6 million now, he went up in price since. I had to add him to the watch list. He looks really impressive, and one to keep an eye on for the fixture swing coming up around game week 6 for Arsenal. So the Gunners have good fixtures up the road, so definitely going to have to consider that guy. In terms of Burnley then, I added in Peters because Peters impressed 2 weeks in a row now. He seems to have that left back slot. I know that he's definitely still a rotation risk, but if he keeps playing as he is, he's gonna be nailed there. And I need to look at Montoya replacements or potential replacements. Montoya's a 4.5 millionaire, and Eric Peters is a similarly priced player, and I'd like to see him continue to be creative. He got a lot of crosses in again in game week 2, trying to supply Barnes and Wood up front, and obviously he got his 2 assists in game week 1. So very happy to add Eric Peters to the watch list and keep an eye on. Fixtures look nice from game week 5 onwards for Bournemouth, so I like to have that one to kind of stew over. Peters is added. Wood is going to be removed. I've already removed Chris Wood. Again, he just doesn't seem to be the most potent in terms of scoring. Well, it's quite obvious. Barnes has got his 3 goals this season, and Wood has blanked, but that could easily change. I just don't think he's been very effective so far this season, and if I was going for one, I'd go for Barnes, so there's no point having Wood in there too. 6.6 million Barnes is at the moment now, just to mention that he's gone up in price. So Aston Villa then, were playing at home to Bournemouth, and as I said, I got my nice goal and assist from King and Wilson, which was great, but I had to wave goodbye to Wilson and Fraser. This was their last hurrah in my team for a while now. In terms of who impressed, I had to add John McGinn in because he's probably been their most threatening player. The guy who's passed the eye test the most for Villa so far this season. He had 8 goal attempts across the first 2 games. That's the most of any Villa player. And obviously he got his goal as well in game week 1. Played full 90 minutes in both games too, might I add, which is quite important. If you want to consider a player at his price, you want to make sure he starts too. So, McGinn was added in. Let's just take a look quickly at him. Fixtures are nice for Villa. They just haven't hit their groove yet, so maybe want to consider for future weeks. John McGinn, 5.6 million, 5.4% team selected by. In terms of Villa then, no one really else caught the eye. They do have some good options that might add value, like Trezeguet as well. Trezeguet had 5 shots inside the box in the first 2 game weeks, and he only really played in game week 2, so he's one to consider too. Will I add him to that? No, I'm going to leave Trezeguet off the watch list for the moment, but I do like the cut of his jib. In terms of Bournemouth then, I'm going to remove all my players that I own. Oh, there's none. I actually don't have any Bournemouth players on my watch list at the moment. But I did add in Harry Wilson because he's 6 million. Brooks is out for a while, and obviously Bournemouth have game week 3 and game week 4 tough, but after that it looks quite nice for them. And he scored on Saturday, and he's a good player. 6 million, he should keep his place in the team. Low ownership, and as I said, Brooks is absent, so he should maintain his starting spot. So Harry Wilson added in. That's pretty much it for Bournemouth and Villa. Moving on to Brighton and West Ham. So I've removed Mopé from my list. I added him in game week 1, and it's because of this. I don't know what's going on up front for Trossard. Missed out in game week 1. Murray started both game weeks. Mopé scored in game week 1, yet he was still benched in game week 2. Gross is playing. There's just too many players that can start in that front 3 for Brighton at the moment, and no one's really nailed. You've got Gross, Trossard, Murray, Mopé, Locadia, Andone, and I don't know who's going to start, so it's a lottery there. So that's why I've kind of avoided all of them. I have Montoya in my team. He seems nailed, so I'm happy to keep him on my list. I've removed Mopé. In terms of West Ham, no one really interests me. Maybe Lanzini slightly. He's a quality player, great technique. 6.5 is a little bit pricey for a West Ham player right now, so I'm not really strongly considering them. But his West Ham might kick on and start hitting form, so you never know. I might add him next week if he performs well this week. That's it for West Ham. Everton and Watford next. I own Digne and Sigurdsson. Not really considering any more Everton assets right now. Bernard did impress. They're defensively solid, Everton at the moment. 2 clean sheets in a row. And actually, I think it's 8 clean sheets in the last 10 games, if you include last season. So really have kind of shored up at the back, Everton. Really impressive statistic that actually. So Pickford's an option. Maybe Pickford could be added to a watch list, but I'm not going to consider a 5.5 million. Not my watch list anyway. I'm not considering 5.5 million goalkeepers because I only own a 4.5, so it would be a straight swap for me. Watford then not impressing. I think Deulofeu has been the biggest disappointment for them. A lot of players would have punted on him at 6.5 at the start of the season, and he only played that half against Brighton in game week 1, and again didn't really do much against Everton this game week. And he's also subsequently dropped in price, which is kind of just understandable enough. A lot of players are looking elsewhere. A lot of managers, should I say, are looking elsewhere. So Deulofeu is not going anywhere. No one's going on the watch list from Watford. Skipping on to Norwich. Obviously Pukki, what a hero. Amazing score, game week 2. If you got him in, congratulations. He does have tough fixtures coming up, but he seems to be able to perform against anyone. He scored in game week 1 against Liverpool, so that's just testament to that fact. He can score against anyone. Chelsea are no gods at the back either. They're pretty poor, so he might score again at home in game week 3, and then West Ham game week 4. I think he's a great move. 6.7 million. He'll be 6.8 million soon, and I just can't afford him at the moment. I might get him in on my wild card, but not at the moment for me. I'm priced out of it. Cantwell is the one guy that I did add in. Todd Cantwell's 4.5 million, and only one player has created more chances than him in over 2 game weeks, and that was Kevin De Bruyne. So at 4.5 million, played 2 full 90 minutes, game week 1, game week 2. Seems nailed in that role for the moment. He plays just behind the strikers, and he's obviously creative, and he's got his 2 assists against Newcastle at home in game week 2. So definitely one to keep an eye on. Great budget enabler. If you're looking to make transfers and big moves this week, Cantwell will allow you to kind of get that extra premium player, whether that be a Heung-min Son, a De Bruyne, a Harry Kane, whatever. This guy will allow that. So consider him at 4.5 million. And he seems to be nailed for the next few fixtures. Not very easy for Norwich, as I said, but at 4.5 million, you have to consider players like that. And he's added to my watch list for that reason. So that's pretty much it for Norwich. Newcastle then, just going to move on. I'm not going to talk about Newcastle at the moment because really nothing of note there. Southampton and Liverpool. So Shea Adams was kind of in my mind for a while. He missed a couple of big kind of gilt edge opportunities in the first 2 game weeks. And he's posting good numbers in terms of underlying stats, but he hasn't scored yet. And Danny Ings come off the bench to replace him, a fellow 6 millionaire, and scored. So he's kind of, I'm contemplating whether or not Ings is going to start next week for Southampton, which kind of puts the nailedness of Shea Adams in jeopardy. That's why he's not going on my watch list. Other than that, he would be on there. Liverpool then, I don't have any. I've got 2 Liverpool assets in my team already, Van Dijk and Salah. I have Mane on there because it's Mane and we know what he can do. An explosive game week 2 for him. And he 22 goals, 3 assists last season. And the one question mark people had over him was that is the assist potential there alongside the goals? Well, there you go. He's got a goal and an assist in the first game he's played full 90 minutes from. So I expect the same amount of goals and maybe more assists from Mane this season. So definitely one to consider, especially if you want to save $1 million on your wild card and get rid of Salah. I'd hate to do it, but all options have to be considered for the greatness, for the greater good of your team, should I say. So Mane was added in. Anybody else from Southampton Liverpool game? No, I didn't add anybody else in. That was it from them. Man City and Spurs. I have my 3 City players, so I'm not going to add any more in there. But there's one man who's back in action in game week 3, and we all know him, Heung-min Son. Son is going to be added to the I've already added him. I keep forgetting I've recorded this video already. But Son is being added to the watch list, and it's because of those amazing numbers he's posted in previous seasons. And he's 9.5 million, very low ownership, and Spurs fixtures are decent. So if you don't have Harry Kane, Heung-min Son might supplement your Spurs, the desire to have any Spurs players. I don't have any at the moment, but I'll definitely add Son to the watch list. He's a direct replacement for Kevin De Bruyne if Man City somehow go cold and Heung-min Son hits some form. Maybe a little premature to get him in early. He might not play the full 90 against Newcastle. I don't know. I don't know what his competitive fitness is like. Nobody does because we haven't seen him in the first 2 game weeks. So a little bit of a risk factor there. But I would never say that getting Heung-min Son into your team is a bad decision. He's a great player and he's proven. So Son is added to the team, or to the watch list for me. And then for Spurs, I don't think I've added any more in. No, that was pretty much it for Spurs. Sheffield United then, I've already got Lundstrom in my team. What a hero with his goal. He's on my bench. He is the best 4 million option. I actually read something on Twitter. He never played in defence ever in his career. I don't know how FPL got it so wrong to classify him as a defender, let alone a 4 million defender. And he had a great pre-season. So this was all kind of, he could have kind of foreseen this form a little bit due to pre-season, but no one could have seen him score inside 2 game weeks like he has done, and come through with 4 bonus points as well in the first 2 game weeks. Really, really impressive stuff. 4 million, as I said. No point adding to my watch list, but he should be an essential on nearly every watch list, or maybe a team on your team as well for that price. Chelsea and Leicester, I've added Mason Mount because he seems to be nailed. 6 million is a great price point. And his fixtures the fixtures on paper are incredible for Chelsea. They just need to get their act together and start actually producing some performances, solid performances at the back and going forward. 1-1 against Leicester last time out. He got his goal and he picked up the 3 bonus too, and he was a constant threat too. Creative as well as goal scoring capabilities. So Mason Mount is a definite addition. Barkley was removed. Barkley's too much a rotation risk. Not getting enough minutes for me. He was dragged off before the 60 for 1 point in game week 1, and he didn't start in game week 2. So way too much rotation going on there. Maddison is the pick of Leicester. He's already on my watch list. I have removed Ayoze Perez because he was anonymous in the first 2 game weeks, so I'm no longer looking closely at him. And then Chelsea. Oh, sorry, Leicester, should I say. There is one player more I should add from Leicester. It's Soyuncu. So I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but Kaglar Soyuncu. He's 4.5 million, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's the best 4.5 million defender in the game because he's nailed on to start on the left side of centre defence alongside Johnny Evans because of that Harry Maguire departure. Great fixtures coming up for Leicester, probably from game week 9 onwards. Tricky enough in the middle between game week 3 and game week 8. But as I said, he's going to play every week. Very low ownership. No kind of proven ability in terms of attacking returns because he didn't play enough games. He's already played pretty much half of his total minutes from last season. So it would have been very hard for us to kind of judge going into this year what he's like attacking wise. But he seems to be in the box for set pieces, so that's a start. So he might get some returns to go with those clean sheet and bonus points for clean sheets too. So I think he's a great option at 4.5 million. Kaglar Soyuncu is on the watch list. And Wolves and United then, I haven't really thought too closely about watch list players here. Martial obviously is on my watch list. I really want him in. If Sigurdsson doesn't play well in game week 3, he could be on the chopping board, and Martial will slot nicely into that midfield for me. Unfortunately, I just can't make the move this week. I'm limited in terms of transfers. And also, I want to keep Sigurdsson for one more week too. So, Martial should be on your watch list, if not in your team. And Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, I considered them last week, and I didn't add them to the list, and the reason is because I'm just not sure about the United defence, and that was kind of justified this week. They are shaky at the back still. Much improved than last season, but still haven't totally gelled there. So Luke Shaw was actually quite impressive. He got forward a lot on the left. We know what he can do. Missed a great opportunity towards the end too. He could have won the game. He had a shot in the last minute. 5.5 million too. But I'm not going to add any more onto the watch list. I own Jota. He was on my watch list last week, and I bought him, so he's not going to be on there. That's pretty much it. That sums up the watch list. It's a longer list now. I removed a couple of guys, but I added 2, so I'm happy that it's still quite condensed. I'd say there's about 29 players on there, so not that bad at all to keep tabs on. That's the watch list part done. Okay, yeah, let's look at my setup for game week 3. At the moment, I'm not sure on captaincy. It's going to be down to the wire for me, I think. If you have Harry Kane in your team, it's a no-brainer. Harry Kane at home to Newcastle is your captain. But if you own Salah and Sterling, you're going to have to do some digging, some rooting, a little bit of kind of knowledge, research, and, I don't know, deep meditation to kind of get into a deep thought process and figure out this one. But I'm gonna leave it on Salah for the moment because of the home fixture, but I might have to move to Sterling because of the sheer amount of chances that he gets every game. And City have scored 7 goals in the first 2 games, and I don't even know how they didn't score more than 2. Did 9 goals if you include VAR disallowed goals. So I think that Sterling is going to outscore Salah. I know it's 2 game weeks in, but I actually think Sterling is going to outscore him this season, and it's probably going to be the most high scoring player come game week 38. 4 goals so far, 26 points. Yeah, amazing player, and I think he's essential. Don't throw that word around too much, but I think Sterling's essential this year. Let me just change my captain to Sterling for the moment, and I'm going to lock that in for the foreseeable future. But okay, first sub is a little bit of an issue. Burnley at home for Dendoncker is quite nice. I'm going to leave Lundstrom on the bench and as first sub. Is it sustainable, him scoring every week? Probably not. He's pretty good though, and he's creating chances for his teammates alongside his goal. So, excuse me. So I might consider starting him ahead of Southampton, but Leicester came good at the end of that Chelsea game, so I expect them to be better going forward against Sheffield United. That's my team for game week 3 so far, unless some crazy casualties happen or occur midweek. I don't think anything else is going to change. Dini's got a flag on him, as you can see, but I've heard since that there's no real long-term issue there, and he should be fine. One to keep an eye on for sure. I have 2 playing subs, so I'm not going to be too disappointed if 1 or 2 of my players don't make the starting 11 or lose out for some reason or another. So happy enough to roll into game week 3 with the above team. Let me know who you are considering for your transfers. Have you made them yet? Are you struggling with these new price rise and falls, new algorithm or something that Fantasy Premier League have this year? It's making it more difficult, more frequent, these price rises and falls, and kind of harder to predict when they're going to happen. I also want to start something new. So the crazy prediction of the week. Let's everybody make up some, well, not make up, but think of something that's going to happen next game week that's kind of a little bit wild and wacky, and stick one in the comments, and I'm going to pull out the best prediction and showcase it next week. Well, the best prediction that comes through. I'm going to start it off, and I'm going to say that Robertson is going to punish me for taking him out of my team. We've done it before in previous years. I'll probably get him back in a wild card eventually, but I have Andrew Robertson to score against Arsenal is my crazy prediction for game week 3. And it would deserve me right for getting rid of such a premium, proven defender, even if he has disappointed in the first 2 game weeks. So there's my prediction, Andy Robertson to score. Let me know what yours is. Pop it in the comments. I'll pull the best one out for next week's video. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, I do some FPL side games like the 6-fix contest that'll launch in a couple of days for game week 3. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get alerts and ring that little bell thing so you get the alerts when the game contests begin. And that's pretty much it from me. I don't think there's anything else to discuss. Happy enough, as I said, with my game week rank. Beating the average is always good. And lots of good work done in game weeks 1 and 2, and plenty of well, let's just say plenty more points to be had, plenty more decisions to be made going forward for managers like myself and yourself. So kick on to game week 3. The deadline this week. This is a good thing to note. The deadline is Friday again. So we have a deadline. It's usually there we go. Friday, 23rd of August. That's not GMT. That's Eastern time. So it's 7 p.m. GMT is going to be your Friday deadline on the 23rd of August. Friday night game is Villa against Everton. So looking forward to that. And good luck with all your decision making this week. A lot of tricky decisions to be made. A lot of players will have activated their wild card. In fact, I'm not against that decision. I think it's sometimes a good idea to jump in early on informed players, especially price risers, when the going's good. So if you're one of those guys or girls that have played the wild card, then so be it. A lot of fun you'll have this week, jostling around with all these price movements. So let me know in the comment section if you have any dilemmas, anything you want to discuss, any transfers that you want to kind of throw over me. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'll give my honest assessment and opinion as much as I can on your own decisions that you have to make. So let's rock on. Game week 3. Can't believe there's 2 game weeks gone this season. It's been so much fun so far. Let's look forward to game week 3. Good luck to everyone, and chat to you all soon.